jam-packed Monday on Mr. Relevant. It's episode 252. I'm Alex Strouf with you from the Gerber Law Offices, One Call That's All studio at the Avenue in downtown Milwaukee. Hunter Vaughn is back at the Everlight Solar Studio in downtown Madison like usual. JOSHY's sick, I guess. Found that out today. So I said to Will Sommers, who was filling in his absence today, we should probably leave JOSHY's seat open and, almost in memoriam, even though JOSHY's not dead, at least I hope. And Will said, nope, I'm using his chair today. So with me in the Gerber Law Offices, One Call That's All studio today is Will Sommers. Hi, Will.
You ever heard of Wally Pipp?
I have, yeah. But I will say, that saying has always bothered me.
Why?
Because Wally Pipp was the one Wally pipped. It was Babe Ruth, I believe, that replaced Wally
Lou
Pipp.
Gehrig.
Well, Lou Gehrig, okay. It was one of the classic old baseball players.
Yeah.
So shouldn't that be called getting Lou Gehrig'd? Because Lou Gehrig replaced Wally Pipp.
I don't know. I mean, it depends who's saying it. So Josh would be getting Wally Pipped then, is what you're saying, and I would be getting Lou Gehrig'd?
No, you would be Lou Gehrig'ing
Josh getting Wally Pipped.
That is correct, yes.
Okay. Yeah, well, I'll say Josh is getting Wally Pipped then.
All right, I don't think we made any progress.
And
there.
I'm Babe Ruthing. Or Lou
we did
Gehrig'ing.
not. Okay, just making sure
we're going
on
in
the same
circles.
page. All right, good stuff. Well, plenty to get into today. We will get to Giannis in just a moment. Just want to give you a rundown today because, look, I don't want to say I've been doing this a long time, but we've been doing the show for almost 2 years. I've been doing sports media for about a decade in some capacity, whether that's writing for newspapers or radio or podcasts. And I think today we are going to discuss one of my favorite stories I've ever come across. That's how much I love the Elton Jenkins story from over the weekend. So we will get to that. Not so favorite story is the one that feels like we've done this every offseason for the last 6 years. Even the year the Bucks won a championship in 2021, it felt like this was what we were talking about. Will Giannis go somewhere else? Will Giannis play somewhere that's not Milwaukee? And here we go again. We're just spinning the wheels on the same thing we do every single offseason like it is clockwork. And it's tiring, to be real honest with you. Shams Charania at ESPN reporting this morning on Get Up that Giannis, apparently for the first time in his career, quote, open-minded, end quote, to playing somewhere that isn't Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and with the Bucks. Now, okay, I guess he sees the writing on the wall. Next year's probably not going to be a championship-ready team, which means you've got to wait 2 years before Damian Lillard is back healthy and either tradable or ready to play and try it again with the Bucks as he continues to get older. I understand it's not rocket science to figure out that the Milwaukee Bucks are probably not actively competing for a championship next season, right? I don't think it's rocket science to figure that out. Could they? Of course, because they have Giannis, at least as of now. But is the likelihood high that the Bucks are in title contention next year? No, it's not. They're probably a playoff team because you have one of the best players in the world. But that could be a 6 seed. That could be a 5 seed again. And it's probably not a real easy path to win a championship, even if, and probably, Damian Lillard was to return next postseason. So I hear why the arguments are being made and the discussions are being had of it makes the most sense right now for the Milwaukee Bucks and Giannis Antetokounmpo to part ways. But I don't buy it. I think it's more complicated than we're making it seem. Right? The NBA draft lottery is tonight, and Houston has the assets, and San Antonio has the assets. But I'm not buying it. If I'm the Milwaukee Bucks, I'm going down with the ship when it comes to Giannis. I'm hanging on for dear life for the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years, however long he wants to stay and play basketball. If I'm the Bucks, I hope to God it's in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Because you just don't breed Giannis Antetokounmpos in the NBA. Right? There are good players. There are great players. And then there's Giannis. Right? This guy is on another planet in comparison to some of the all-stars and some of the great players we have in the NBA. This guy is a franchise-altering literal city-changing level of superstar. If you walk down to Fiserv Forum up the street and you just take a lap around the block, you can look around and go, Giannis built this. This is Giannis. Because it is. And so while I hear, Giannis wants to compete for championships, right? That's Shams Charania referenced his appearance with his brother Thanasis on Thanasis' show last month when he said, lack of a better term, this is not a direct quote. It keeps me up at night that I haven't won a second championship. And if I don't win a second championship in my career, that will bother me. Because he's a competitor. Because he's a winner. I still think if that's going to happen, it will be in Milwaukee. When you look at players that have won several championships or won a championship while being the best player in franchise history and playing for only one franchise, two names come to mind directly, right? Snap of the finger, two names come to mind. Maybe the biggest overseas star prior to Giannis' arrival in the league, in Dirk Nowitzki, who was with Dallas, and Giannis' mentor, a guy he respects the hell out of to this day, and Kobe Bryant. Those are the guys Giannis looked up to.
There's a third, Tim Duncan.
Tim Duncan, of course, yeah, totally. Good pull by you, Hunter. But those are specifically those two guys in Nowitzki and in Kobe. Those are guys that Giannis has modeled his game after. Guys he's looked up to. In a path that they have blazed that I imagine he also wants to take. Now, again, the pitch to Giannis, if you're Milwaukee, is not easy. It's not an easy pitch because next year does not look pretty. I'm by no means sitting here doubting that this is not an easy pitch for the Milwaukee Bucks because it is not an easy pitch for Giannis. But if we know Giannis in his 12 years in the league, if we've learned anything about Giannis, it is loyalty. It is hustle. It is an understanding of this is where he grew up. This is the place that took a shot on him. This is the place that has allowed him to live out his dreams, build his family, and call America home because Milwaukee, Wisconsin is the place that brought Giannis in. I don't think you can make an argument like this with a lot of superstars in the league, right? Kevin Durant, LeBron, Chris Paul, right? And James Harden, Russell Westbrook, whoever, right? These are guys that have played all over the place now and have had really successful careers. But this one's different. This one, with Giannis, it is different to me. And again, I don't think it's an easy pitch. But I think at the end of the day, what we are looking at is a lot of commentary for something that's not actually going to happen. And maybe I'll eat my words. Maybe I'll be wrong on this. But for what feels like the 6th or 7th offseason in a row, I think it's nonsense, and Giannis will be back in Milwaukee.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the report itself, the term open-minded is unbelievably broad. Like, that can mean anything. Like,
super vague.
How open-minded is he to staying? Like, they don't report on that. And in the article, Shams himself said that the Bucks and the Giannis haven't had any conversations yet this offseason. So, I mean, if you really think that he's going to jet off or that this is like a groundbreaking revelation, it really isn't. Like, it's just all speculation at this point. And in terms of him even getting traded or looking at the draft lottery, you would need the Rockets or the Spurs to win or get the number 1 pick because you're not giving up Giannis for pennies. You are getting a haul. And I guarantee you, if it were to be this year, it would include the number 1 overall pick. And none of the other teams besides the Rockets or the Spurs have any capital to give up that would be enough for John Horst to give up Giannis.
Yeah, the haul you need consists of more than one young player.
I mean, Mikal Bridges went for 5 first-round picks last offseason. He's like arguably the second best player on the Knicks right now.
Correct. Yeah, arguably, by the way.
Like, it's close. He like almost is the third option.
He's probably.
And some days he's the 4th or 5th.
Yeah.
5 first-round picks.
You got 5 first-round picks. So that makes you wonder, what in the world could you possibly conjure up for a guy like Giannis? It's going to need multiple players. It's going to need at least 5 first-round picks because the Bucks don't really have any. They mortgage their future to bring in Dame Lillard, and ultimately, and again, you can never predict injuries, but ultimately, trade hasn't worked out so far through 2 years. It's such a almost impossible task for other teams to bring to the table what it's going to take. And even if, let's say the Spurs, I know it's a team you mentioned, well, let's just say the Spurs have the offer on the table. Obviously, that doesn't include Wemby, but you've got a couple other young stars you could bring over. Got a ton of picks they could trade. If I'm John Horst, if I'm the decision maker, I guess I should say, I would imagine that's John Horst, but a decision to this magnitude is going to involve more than one person. But let's just use John Horst as the example. I still have a really hard time even considering it, no matter how good the package is.
Well, it's even like, you think, like, this is all stemming because Giannis wants to win, right?
Yep.
So why would, in any case, he go to a team that's not going to win right away? And like we said, the haul is going to be massive. And in any case where you're giving up that much, like, what are the odds that you're actually going to be good the next year? What are the odds that you're going to compete and give Giannis what he wants, which is another title run?
Yeah.
But
and again, go ahead, Hunter.
Like, I understand this idea of, like, the team wants to do right by Giannis if they were to trade him. But Giannis isn't going to do right by the team when he becomes a free agent. Like, he's going to explore all of his options. He's going to try and get the most money and put himself in the best situation. So, like, this idea that the team shouldn't do the same thing, like, the best situation for the Bucks is to try and trade Giannis to whoever has the first overall pick, if you're going to do that. That's just the business of this. This is what would happen. Giannis isn't going to take a team-friendly deal to try and win. Like, he's already taken Supermax money when it's been available to him. So if you have the chance to do it and somehow the NBA rigs things with the lottery and San Antonio has that first overall pick, go and get a couple of their young players, go get Cooper Flagg, maybe that second top 10 pick, get Con Knipple. I'm going to pay money to drive from Madison to Milwaukee to go see the Milwaukee kid play for the Bucks. Like, that's how this is going to work. And it sucks, but
sure, and again, I hear you, Hunter, because it is being talked about because obviously in league circles, teams are under the belief that there is a possibility you could trade for Giannis and he could be available this offseason. I get that. But for Giannis, if he winds up in San Antonio or Houston, he's not getting the Milwaukee treatment. Right? I don't think he's the quasi, and I don't mean this in a negative way. I think it's good that you, especially in the NBA, you involve your superstars in decision-making processes. He's not going to be the quasi-GM. He might have some pull, and he might be able to discuss the direction more than other players with those teams, but he's not getting the Milwaukee treatment if he goes elsewhere.
It's also kind of like what Bobby Portis said when he was asked on one of those FanDuel TV shows, I believe it was Run It Back. They asked him about leaving Milwaukee because he has a player option this year, and he was like, well, I'm the mayor. They know me as the mayor there, so that's going to make it pretty damn hard to leave, which Giannis's mark in Milwaukee is unbelievable. Mm-hmm. Like, it would be noticeable throughout the entire city if he left.
Yeah, and Giannis comments on the video Will was mentioning on Friday with, don't worry about me. What are you doing, Bobby, staying or leaving? Just real quick, if somebody says to you, Will, don't worry about me, you more worried or less worried?
Traditionally, I'd be more worried, but I believe he did put like a smiley face, didn't he? Like laughing an emoji. Face, yeah. So that kind of changes my mind. Like, I know some people sincerely say that, but then there's other people that are like, they say it for the attention. Like, they want you to worry about them. So
I don't know that I've ever said it for attention.
I definitely have before.
Just don't worry about me.
Strouf, yeah. You absolutely have. The things that you have
Hunter,
done.
Don't worry about me.
But the things you have done for attention, you can't tell me that you've never said that to get a little bit of attention from somebody.
Don't worry about me.
Like, you've never done something you didn't want to do, and you're like, oh, don't worry about it. But, like, deep down, you're like, you should worry about it.
Worry about it.
I hate that I have to do this.
All right, maybe I have. You might be right on that. All right, YouTube comments starting to flow in over on the ESPN Madison YouTube channel. And Dubs chimes in response to Hunter. The best thing is not to trade the best player in the league. Are we serious? Giannis will probably end up a top 10 player of all time. You do not trade that.
So our option is keep being mid and average and just struggle through it, or actually try and get something for him, because if he signs elsewhere, you get nothing. There is absolutely nothing the Bucks get back, and then they are complete and utter trash without him. By at least trading him, you get something. I understand it sucks. I understand it's not fun. But this idea that, like, somehow the world is going to gift the Bucks some great, amazing player in return for letting Giannis walk and go wherever he wants to go, that's not going to happen. Go get something for him while you can.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I hear both sides on this. He is under contract at minimum through the next 2 seasons. 25, 26, 26, 27. He has a player option at the end of that season for the 27, 28 season. I mean, the way this has continued to play out, and I remember, I think it was 2020 when he signed a Supermax, it just felt like, okay, yeah, it was going to come eventually, and here it comes. I still feel that way. If in 2 years he's eligible for another extension, I don't know that he needs a recruitment pitch. But maybe he does this offseason with all the commentary around it. But I heard Giannis say, don't worry about me. I'm not worried about it.
I mean, watching the Pacers, too, if that doesn't make you confident that a team with like a bunch of very good role players can make a run in the NBA playoffs, I don't know what will.
The injury aspect, certainly.
Well, yes, but the Pacers don't have a superstar.
Is Halliburton a superstar?
I'd say not yet.
Okay.
Eventually, one day he
In
may
the
be,
making.
but he's not a superstar. And if you're just 11 guys deep and you can play all those guys off the bench and have productive guys putting in good minutes in your starting 5 and have top 3-4 guys off your bench, like, why not?
But then it's also the Pacers have been able to hit on like second-round draft picks, which the Bucks have shown that they cannot do. They've had a couple of good first-round. Yeah, I know.
Period,
but John Horst
that's all they have.
Yeah, for what he's been able to do, like he's been able to get some solid trades, like the Jay Crowder move. Like he's been able to do a few things to help this team. Drafting has not been his strong suit, and that's what they need to be able to do. And that's part of my problem here. Is that like
there's no denying that, right? I mean, his best draft pick is probably who, Dante DiVincenzo, who's had more of a career elsewhere. I don't know. You're certainly right on that, but I mean, there's different ways to. What's the phrase to make the cake? Is that it?
I don't know.
Several ways to make a cake.
You're definitely using the wrong object. Like, it's not a cake. It's something, though. I know what you're talking about.
Okay,
there's more than one way to
make a cake.
Yeah, okay.
There's more than one way to skin a cat is the one that I've heard.
Yeah, but PETA
which is
doesn't
dark.
like that.
Yeah, I know, but that's
like
the one that I've
yeah.
heard. I don't know of another one. So,
well, there is several ways to skin a cat. John Horst has done it right. You know, he did win a championship, right? We can never take that away from John Horst and this team. Free agency, trading, and he's been active, and most of them have worked out. The Damian Lillard one just unfortunately hasn't. And again, I don't think that's by any fault of John Horst. It's the injuries. It's stuff you can't predict. It's an unfortunate set of circumstances. And that's what has led us to this point, discussing whether or not Giannis Antetokounmpo will leave Milwaukee. And it seems like this, more than any other year, has the biggest chance to be that offseason. But again, I just don't buy it. Real quick, NBA Draft Lottery tonight. We've referenced that a few times. Couple different teams with a bite at the apple. Obviously, one of the wackier things in sports is the NBA Draft Lottery with the ping pong balls and the cards and
the
NHL
NHL
they
does
announce
it too.
to a team even. Yeah, but who watches the NHL draft?
I do.
Okay. I would imagine of the major 4 sports, MLB is probably the least watched.
Yeah, probably.
And then NHL third, NBA second, NFL obviously first. But it's super unique, obviously. And the way they announce it to teams who have traded their picks, so it's not actually their pick, but their logo is still featured, I just always find odd as well. But the NBA Draft Lottery tonight, now obviously for years and years and years, there's been commentary and thoughts that the NBA Draft Lottery is rigged. Teams do not get rewarded for being bad. If there's a hometown product, typically the team that is closest to them gets the first-round pick, a la LeBron James. Was it David Robinson, I believe? Or not David Robinson, although he was a first-round pick, or first overall pick. The Knicks got one with somebody. Patrick Ewing, yes, thank you. So there's always been a thought, it could be rigged. They might do it for an advantage for a certain market. Will, is the NBA Draft Lottery rigged? Yes or no?
I think so. It should be, though. Like,
more entertainment.
Why would you reward teams like the 76ers and the Jazz who are just tanking compared to like teams like the Wizards who are just like bad? Like, you actually think the 76ers fully healthy, no load management, that stupid stuff. Like, they're actually the worst team in the league. Like, no, there's no way. They don't deserve to get a top 3 pick. It's so dumb.
So is your prediction they will not receive a top 3 pick?
I hope not, because I think Adam Silver like hates it so much where he would intervene. I mean, there's been so many conspiracy theories about it being draft, like the Patrick Ewing. Yeah. They folded like the corner of the envelope. Some people say they froze it so that you could feel which envelope was the coldest. So there's a lot of conspiracies, but I think like just regardless, there should be some sort of like adjusted stat about how much like your coaching and lineups plays into your team losing. Like, not just based on talent.
That was deep. That was profound.
It would be hard to do, like nearly impossible.
Okay, Hunter, NBA draft lottery, is it rigged?
Does Vegas allow you to bet on it? Because if they allow you to bet on who will get the number 1 pick, then I don't think it's rigged.
I don't know the answer to that.
Because,
I believe you can, because at least at Potawatomi,
that's what I'm looking at.
The odds on Cooper Flag a couple weeks ago were like minus 2,500.
Well, that's the draft, not the lottery.
Yeah.
To be the number 1 pick. Oh, is this to get the number 1?
Yeah, I'm just saying the lottery. The reason I bring that up was I'll never forget the story. Colin Cowherd told it about how he used to work in Vegas in sports radio, and they used to allow betting at the time on Ivy League games, but then all of a sudden they would get perfect bets of thousands of dollars because these private jets would come from the East Coast and put a bunch of money on it, like Dartmouth to win a game or to cover. And then they realized that it was all these Fortune 500 guys who like had inside information on whether or not guys were playing and making a bunch of money off of it. So then they stopped taking bets on it because they're like, no, we can't allow this. I think it's the same thing. If they don't allow you to bet on the lottery odds, then I think it's rigged. Because Vegas wouldn't let something happen that was rigged and like exchange money that way.
Well, I couldn't find it on the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
I mean, Dartmouth is like the Duke of the Ivy League, though, so it makes sense why people were betting on them.
Okay, moving on. That's something about that chair, man.
It's just delusion. The delusion chair.
Must be. All right, I don't even know where to begin with this one. Gotta be top 5 hilarious stories related to an athlete I've read in TMZ ever. I got so much enjoyment and laughter out of reading into this story over the weekend that I've been itching to talk about it. Let's begin with the characters. Packers offensive lineman Elton Jenkins showed up in a report on TMZ over the weekend after reportedly being in an altercation. It did not lead to any arrest, but being in some sort of altercation at a strip club in Atlanta, Georgia. Some body cam footage shown, nothing of note, really, other than there was a group of gentlemen led by Packers guard Elton Jenkins, guard center Elton Jenkins, that attended a strip club, walked into said strip club, did not see the party that they were anticipating, and promptly asked for a refund for their cover at said strip club. The police were called to intervene, and after further discussion, the strip club granted Jenkins and company their refund. So, first note before we dive deeper into this, I have never heard of anybody in my entire life asking for a refund at a strip club. In my head, I'm wondering, what is the conversation? You're going back to the bouncer or somebody at the front of the building and saying, hey, this ain't it. Can I get my money back, please? Right? There's not enough people here. Not enough bottle service here. Not enough girls on stage here. Right? What is your point as to you were not getting what you anticipated while walking into a strip club? Right? What is your argument? What are you saying to the person you are asking your refund from? What do you say to them? That's the scenario I've been trying to chalk up in my head all weekend, is how do you initiate that conversation? Hey, excuse me. I paid $200 a head to get in here, and I've actually decided I do not want to be here anymore. Can I please have my money back? Now, typically, the answer to that question would be nope. Right? And this is not apples to apples, but I just want to pull in Will. Will is a recent college graduate, just graduated college, so he's still in that great phase of his life where he's probably frequenting busy bars. Fair to say?
Yes.
And oftentimes you will have to pay a cover charge. Has it ever once crossed your mind when you go to a bar and pay a cover charge and you go in and you go, actually, I think I want to hang out here. Has it ever once crossed your mind to go back to the bouncer and say, hey, excuse me, sir, can I please have my $10 back?
No, especially because I don't know if you've ever been to a bar with a bouncer. They are the meanest people on earth. They hate everybody except for the other people that work there. They're very mean for no reason.
Now, what if, and this is what I think
happened
Hunter
from
bouncer?
this?
No. I'm not defending bouncers. They are not nice people. The few times I've interacted with them have not enjoyed that. But what if in Elton's case, he went to, let's say, the Velvet Rhino, but he was actually supposed to go to like the Velvet Hippo or something. Like it was a different name, and it was just like, wait a second, this isn't the right place. Hang on, I messed up on Google Maps, and then just tried to get a refund that way.
So we will get to what Elton Jenkins said on Twitter last night after this story had surfaced and made the rounds a little bit in a moment. But to Hunter's point, I don't know if I'd have the cojones to admit my mistake. So, for example, I will say this. So, but I've done this. So I've done something like this. It's not a strip club, but it's semi-adjacent. So I was in Green Bay over the holidays, and I got an Uber from my buddy's apartment to a casino. When I arrived at the casino, I realized it was the wrong casino because there was multiple of the same casino branding in Green Bay. I arrived at the wrong casino, and I lost some money on some slot machines, but at no point was I like, wait a minute, I went to the wrong casino. I actually didn't lose on the slot machine. I just ordered another Uber to the right casino. So, again, I guess we're dealing with different amounts of money here, right? It sounds to me like Elton Jenkins and company, it was like $200 a head, and they had a decent-sized group. So we're talking over $1,000 here. So Elton Jenkins, to Hunter's point, on Twitter yesterday, just tweeted the word, or the emoji, rather, of a hat, which, for those of you that are not 16 or younger, that means cap. And cap means essentially bogus, not correct, incorrect information, right? So he just tweeted cap, the cap emoji. To which somebody responded, that club was dead as bleep, huh? And Elton Jenkins replied, it's two clubs in one, went to the wrong one, hashtag, that's it, that's all. Elton Jenkins clearly not aware that you could not use an apostrophe in a hashtag, so it was really only hashtag that, and then apostrophe. It, that's all. Anyway. So apparently he went to the wrong place. So to Hunter's Velvet Rhino versus Velvet Hippo analogy, are those real places, Hunter, or did you just pull that out of nowhere?
Pulled that out of nowhere. I'm just that creative. I'm sure they're real places, but I hadn't seen that tweet, Hunter. So I feel really smart that I was like, this has to be what happened here. Because otherwise, yeah, if it was just like, oh no, this place is dead, like, I feel like the state of mind they were probably, and you still hang out at the original club first for a little bit.
Yeah, get your money's worth, man. Party for an hour. I've never heard of, in my life, somebody asking for a refund at a strip club. It just seems like maybe a line you don't cross, right? There are places where I think it's acceptable. A restaurant, a clothing store, a department store of any sorts, a Walmart, a TJ Maxx, right? I understand asking for refunds if the shirt's a little too tight. If there's not enough ladies on the stage, then I don't really get it. But again, I don't know if that was his issue with the place. It was just it was not the party that he was promised. And in order to ask for a refund at a strip club, number one, that takes some mega cojones. So props to him on that. But it just doesn't make a ton of sense to me. Because, look, I'm not a refund guy. I'm just not. I've never really asked for refunds. I've always been bad about that. The shirt's too tight, I'll just wear it at home. Or if the shirt's too loose, I'll just wear it at home. I'm not gonna get it refunded. To go to a gentleman's club and to think, yeah, this is the right place to go, huh? I want my money back. It's just a bold move that I've never heard of, and I kind of respect it. Obviously, he didn't do anything wrong. The police were called to assist in the de-escalation of the situation, but it seems to me like he did nothing wrong other than ask for a refund at a place. I don't know that anybody in the history of Earth has ever asked for a refund.
I mean, I'm big into asking for refunds, firmly believe in it, but in a situation like this, I don't think there's any other person that would just not think like, hey, I already messed up and spent money here. I might as well just hang out for a little bit and then maybe go to where I was intending to go. Nowhere in my mind would I ever think it's the first thing to just go, hey, yo, maybe we could get out of here, get our money back. Granted, we don't know how long he was in there for. Like maybe he gave him the money, took 2 steps in, realized it's wrong. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, I mean, I've gotten refunds before at a bar one time, which was kind of similar. But it was,
so what's the situation there?
I was improperly charged on my tab. I spent probably like $10 and was charged $40. Brought it to the attention of the bartender and was given free drink chips in exchange, which is very nice. But I'm pretty firm in like you got to fight back on the refunds if they mess up. If it's your fault, you can't really argue it.
And this one, it seemed like it was their fault.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
How far into a meal would you ask for a refund at a restaurant? Like, what's the line where you like realize like, oh, this is like really bad or like not right?
Okay, yeah. So I guess it depends on what the issue is. To ask straight up for a refund, it'd have to be bad. Like if you're getting a $35 dish and it tastes like bad. I was trying to think of something bad, but it was all gross.
I mean, things that are gross would taste bad, so you could have just said the gross thing.
That's true.
But.
Yeah. No, that's true. I was gonna say
I got a still frozen
dramatic
chicken sandwich once. I won't throw the restaurant under but it was a fast food place and got a chicken sandwich and it was still frozen inside. That one was tough.
So what'd you
do? Went up to the counter and asked for a refund, and then they were like, well, do you want us to make you another one? I'm like, nah, I'm good.
I don't trust you with that.
Yeah, so I didn't eat at that chain for close to a decade then because I'm like, I can't trust it. Like, I just trust nothing that place can make. Yeah, like, that's the only time I've ever asked for a refund, though, is, like, restaurants, like, had a place forget a delivery order once to my wife and I, and then had to drive there to, like, go and get the food because it would have been, like, 2 hours for us to get what we actually ordered. And then they were, like, shocked that I wanted my money back for the meal. And I'm like, I understand you gave me 2/3 of my meal, but I also just had to drive 15 minutes to go and pick up all of my meal that I paid for you to deliver to me. Like, give me my money back and we're good. Like, it was a whole thing.
Hunter, question for you.
Yeah.
Do you think you fall into the category of Karen?
No. I think that is completely reasonable. If I'm paying for food, they don't deliver 2/3 of what I ordered and then tell me I have to drive and go and pick it up.
How long ago did this happen?
This was probably, about a year ago now. It was here in Madison at a pizza place.
You're hanging on to this one now.
Well, it's just now that I like remember it and think about it, like, yeah, I get a little fired up about it. Like, it was just wild having a 16-year-old.
You still seem like you're filled with rage. Yeah,
it's wild to me that like this 16-year-old on the phone didn't grasp like why I would be frustrated on a Friday night that I don't have what I paid for. And then she's telling me that I have to drive and get it or wait 2 more hours to get a complete meal. I want to involve
the fans a little bit here on YouTube. ESPN Milwaukee, ESPN Madison on YouTube. And if you're listening after a fact on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the ESPN Wisconsin app, feel free to tweet me at Alex_Strouf. I'm fascinated by the idea of odd refunds. So if you're hanging out, just let me know what the weirdest thing you've ever gotten a refund on is. Because like I said, I'm not a refund guy. But when I saw this story, I had to imagine somebody's able to top this. The strangest thing you've ever gotten a refund on. Elton Jenkins certainly takes the cake at this point with getting a refund at a gentleman's club, which is just phenomenal.
I do have a theory real quick before we move on
theory.
from this. So, like you said in the tweet, Elton Jenkins said there was 2 clubs, right? Mm-hmm. So it was the King of Diamonds Club in Georgia. I looked it up on maps. Turns out there's a gym nearby called Hitsville Gym. You don't want to know what kind of gym it is?
I guess it's MMA or boxing.
It's a boxing club. Maybe Elton Jenkins wasn't going out to party, he's just trying to get some work in. $200 fee to work out for the day. He didn't know. He took 2 steps in there, wrong club. Meant to go to the gym.
That's a theory.
I'm on his side here.
Not a good one.
I'm petitioning for him.
I'm on his side, too. I have no problem with what Elton Jenkins did. Just to recap. Okay, I just want to... I want us to
It's a lot to unpack.
I want us to fully understand what occurred over the weekend for Packers offensive lineman Elton Jenkins. He was out in Atlanta with some friends. He went to a strip club. He paid to get into the strip club. At some point, while inside of the strip club, decided this is not the party we thought we were attending. Went back to the counter, asked for a refund. The police were called to de-escalate the situation. Ultimately, though, Elton Jenkins got his refund in the end. That's incredible. And TMZ's reporting on this. It's just a perfect storm of unbelievable circumstances and things you've never heard of. I've never once in my entire life heard of anybody asking for a refund at a strip club, at least in this scenario. Asking for it for a cover charge. It's awesome. Props to Elton Jenkins. I'm Team Elton.
I just remembered I got a refund on a haircut once.
How does that work?
So, got the haircut done. She never showed me the back, and this was obviously back when I had hair. But then I got home and my mom saw it, and the line along the back of my head was incredibly crooked, and it was just bad. And I went in and I was like, hey, this isn't okay. What are we going to do here? And she's like, I can fix it. And I'm like, no, I really don't want you touching my hair now. And she's like, okay, I'll give you your money back then. And so I got my money back there. I've heard of people trying to get refunds on tattoos, which that one is crazy to me.
Yeah, that one doesn't seem to work either. Haircut, okay, that I can believe. Just a bad hairstylist or a bad day for a good hairstylist, however you want to view it.
And that was the final straw. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just not going to have other people do my hair. I'll just shave it.
And that's when you decided to go bald?
Yep.
All because of the haircut you got refunded.
Yeah.
Haven't spent $1 since.
Well, I mean, shaving cream and razors, so I do still spend money on my hair.
I more meant.
I know.
I was to cut your hair.
Yes, I know.
Okay. Well, there you go. You can feel free to chime in the rest of the show with any odd refund requests you've ever made or successfully made, like Elton Jenkins did at a gentleman's club in Atlanta, Georgia over the weekend. And, this is funny because this comes off of Friday when I mentioned it had been reported that Elton Jenkins had not attended any of the voluntary OTAs so far for the Packers this offseason. You can go ahead and draw conclusions how you want, right? Obviously, Aaron Banks is signed from San Francisco to effectively take Elton Jenkins' spot from last year at left guard. Jenkins, all the commentary is he will move to center for the Packers this upcoming season, and we'll start at center with the departure of Josh Myers, the center for 4 years. Maybe he's unhappy. Maybe he wants more money. He is certainly nearing the end of his contract. There is definitely an option where this could be Elton Jenkins' final year in Green Bay. So there's plenty of things you could pull from that. But then to have the situation you had of him at an Atlanta gentleman's club, just a cherry on top of a wild sandwich. Incredible. Okay, how about this? Speaking of defense, although we weren't talking about defense at all. Speaking of lines, maybe? Guess that kind of works. Trey Hendrickson and the Cincinnati Bengals. The saga continues as Trey Hendrickson, through Adam Schefter, releasing this today on Twitter. It is a long one. I'm not going to read you the whole thing, but effectively says him and the Cincinnati Bengals have had no communication since the draft. The offers prior to the draft, bad time to sneeze, did not reflect the vision we shared and we promised last offseason if I continue to play at a high level, yada, yada, yada. Evident lack of interest in reaching mutual goals. Says Trey Hendrickson via Adam Schefter about his ongoing contract negotiations with the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, I still think this is a pipe dream for the Green Bay Packers, but as things continue to seemingly go nowhere between Cincinnati and Trey Hendrickson for the guy that led the league in sacks last year, if I'm Brian Gutekunst, I'm at least picking up the phone. That doesn't mean I'm making an offer right off the bat. I'm just seeing if they answer. Because the Packers, who have done effectively nothing other than firing and hiring a different defensive line coach this offseason, have done nothing to change the pretty underwhelming group that was last year, that defensive line and the pass rush. Trey Hendrickson has had a ton of sacks the last 2 years, including leading the league last season. Now, the big problem for any Packers fans that are hoping the Packers can somehow find a way to acquire Trey Hendrickson is he's 31 years old. Goody does not like his players above the age of 30. It's what the track record says. Now, we made the case that there should be an exception made for Davante Adams this offseason. Never picked up the phone to call him when he was a free agent and was open publicly to a reunion in Green Bay. Trey Hendrickson, 31, despite still being very productive, also needs a new contract. And you would have to give something up in order to acquire his services. So not only would you have to trade probably a second or a third round pick, you'd also have to open up the pocketbook for, at minimum, I would imagine, a 2 or 3 year deal. It's just not a Packers move. It doesn't sound like a move the Packers would make. It doesn't seem like one they'd be in on. But if I'm Goody, I'm picking up the phone. I just think Goody is a Goody, and he's probably not picking up the phone despite this release today from Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah, it doesn't really make any sense for the Packers. But one thing that's interesting is it would be such like a Dan Campbell Lions move to get him.
It's a good point and a kind of a terrifying one.
Because they are not afraid to spend on their defense.
No.
But the thing that I always come back to is I always just feel like a guy like Lucas Van Ness so could use a Trey Hendrickson in that room. Like, it gives him a little bit of comfortability. Like, hey, I'm going to be the second string for a while. That's fine. Like, kind of what Jordan Love did with Aaron Rodgers, right? Like, you just learn from him for a while, develop. Once he gets rid of him or retires.
Yeah, the tough part with Van Ness, and I mean, this is something we could talk about 800 times this offseason. Number one, he obviously did not make the jump in year 2 that anybody was hoping for. He sat now behind or alongside the last 2 years with Rashawn Gary and partially Preston Smith, at least the entirety of his rookie year and partially last season with Preston Smith prior to his trade to Pittsburgh. Those are established guys. Now, Preston Smith, a more productive year or career, and obviously a longer tenured career than Rashawn Gary has had. But both have been viewed, at least at some point, as high-level pass rushers. Van Ness couldn't beat anybody last year. So I hear you. I would love the idea of Trey Hendrickson on this Packers defense. There's just no shot. It ain't happening, unfortunately. Because I want it to, and I think it should, and I think you should pick up the phone. But it's just another deal where you go, yeah, that doesn't really make sense for the Packers.
If I'm Trey Hendrickson, I'm literally airing out every single rumor for the Bengals. Like,
oh, yeah.
He requested a trade before the start of last season, too, and they were like, we need to see more from you. 17.5 sacks, led the league. And then the Bengals just re-signed their entire offense and don't even look his way twice, which is absurd. One of the best edge rushers in the league.
The Packers and Bengals have a game slated for Lambeau Field this season, and it might be 48-42. That might be the highest scoring game of the season.
That would rock.
I'm very high on the Packers offense, as I've probably said every day since the drafting of Matthew Golden.
You have.
Good, making sure I'm consistent. Cincinnati obviously seems like it could again be the highest scoring offense in football, like they were last year. And still go whatever they went last year, 8-9 or 9-8. That kind of seems like it could be the Bengals' path again this year because their defense didn't really improve that much. They got a couple draft picks, but they're still in the standoff with Trey Hendrickson. He's a big part of what they do on defense. But they have T. Higgins back, they have Jamar Chase back, they have Joe Burrow back, they have Chase Brown back. They've got some nice pieces on the offensive side of the football, and they might score 40 points a game again and still go 8-9 or 9-8. So. We will see on that. But NFL schedule release week. The NFL schedule comes out Wednesday. A reminder, if you want to nerd out like I often do when it comes to the NFL schedule, I will be with you from 7 to 8 p.m. live on 94.5 ESPN Milwaukee and right here on YouTube Wednesday night, reacting to the Packers schedule, some of the notes and things that I take away from each of the NFC North schedules, and we'll react to some of the, it's become that big trend, the social media videos. We will react to some of those as well Wednesday. If you want to join me from 7 to 8 p.m. reacting to the Packers schedule, and of course we'll do it here on Mr. Irrelevant coming up on Friday. But as NFL schedule release date creeps closer and closer, the league beginning to, not necessarily leak, but announce some of the games that you can expect. So I found a website that has gone ahead and is publishing just about every confirmed game that will be taking place so far. So the big announcement this morning was that opening night, which I did predict incorrectly on Friday's episode of Mr. Irrelevant, will be the Dallas Cowboys visiting the reigning champion Philadelphia Eagles on Thursday, September 4th. It will be an in-division matchup between the Cowboys and the Eagles. Also announced today, Friday night, like the Packers did last year, Sao Paulo, Brazil. It will be the Kansas City Chiefs visiting the Los Angeles Chargers in Sao Paulo, Brazil. So that is your back-to-back Thursday, Friday night, week 1, September 4th and September 5th. You have Dallas at Philadelphia, and then Kansas City visiting Los Angeles, the Chargers in Sao Paulo. Now, what do both of those things have in common? Thursday night, Cowboys, Eagles, divisional game. Friday night, Chiefs, Chargers, divisional game, which is making me think a lot of the games week 1 will be divisional matchups, unlike last year where that really wasn't the case in most of those games. I'm thinking it will be. Will Sommers is a Bears fan. I am a Packers fan. I am thinking, much like they did 2 years ago, it will be Packers-Bears opening weekend. However, for the first time in 3 years, and for the first time in Jordan Love's career as the starting quarterback of the Packers, week 1, at Lambeau Field. How the regular season ended last year, I think the regular season begins. Bears at Packers at Lambeau Field. Week 1, Caleb Williams, 1-0 at Lambeau Field.
It's going to start just how it ended last year.
I don't think so.
A win at Lambeau.
Oh, that would be so irritating.
See, this is the worst for both of us, though, because if either of us loses, it's the absolute worst way to start a season. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing playing Week 18. It's the worst way to end a season, worst way to start a season.
I am under the impression that that's what we're going to get. I think we're going to get Packers-Bears week 1 at Lambeau.
Are we going to go?
We can go.
You want to make a bet? If that's the case. We have to wait to see if it comes out, but...
yeah, we can bet.
Fully shaved
Once
head, not just a buzz cut to the loser.
I would shave my head.
I'm not doing that anymore, I don't think. I think I'm done doing that. Maybe I'll stick with it, though. We haven't decided
Coward.
yet. I've gotten a lot of compliments on my shaved head.
You have a good shape to your head, so...
How many more compliments do you need to make that your permanent hairstyle?
I don't know that I need any more.
You're good on compliments?
I think I might just do it. I haven't decided yet. I mean, we're in kind of that tweener period right now with my hair, where it's starting to grow back a little bit, but it's still short. I don't know. Everybody says I look like Channing Tatum from Step Up, even though I'm much less jacked than Channing Tatum and Step Up.
I was going to say, there's a huge asterisk on that.
I've never even seen that movie, and I can confidently say you don't resemble him at all.
I have a shaved head.
Yeah, who said that?
And I've got great rhythm. I've got more than once people have said that. Today, even. DJ who works here came up to me. He said, my wife loves the Step Up movies. I think you look like Channing Tatum. You can text him and ask him.
I'm working on getting a picture of him in that movie.
Yeah. Put me side by side with Channing Tatum from Step Up. That's the comparison I've received the most.
You
this
look
is the
nothing
last thing
like
any
him.
of us needed.
I'm just telling you right now, as this downloads, you look nothing like
Hold
him.
on.
This is bad.
Let me adjust my headphones. Let me just show you my full head. That's the comparison. That's the popular Strouf lookalike right now. Seth chimes in. Have the Bears started a season well in the last decade? I look just like him with a beard.
They started last year good.
Did they win one?
They're 4-2 to start the year last year.
And then
the Will Levis game. You look nothing like him. You guys just have the same length hair.
Yeah, there's nothing even close.
No.
I'm staring at the camera.
Channing Tatum also looks like he's 16 in this movie.
He was young, without a doubt. Well, let's look it up. What year did Step Up come out? Release year.
Are you sure someone said this, or you didn't just say this?
2006, Channing Tatum birth year. He was...
You probably could have just looked up how old was Channing Tatum
He was
in
26.
Step Up.
He's my age. He's my age in Step Up. He's 26 in Step Up.
Exactly, and you look nothing like him.
Well, I look like a raggedy old man. He looked like a teenager somehow at 26. Chef Ed chimes in. To me, you look like a male Sinead O'Connor. Okay. I actually do understand that reference, and that is not the first time I've heard that either.
Yeah, that's a much more accurate one.
What did she else sing? Nothing Compares to You is one of her songs, I think.
She also did like a protest on SNL, I remember.
Oh, you know who you kind of look like, but they don't have a beard? 11 from Stranger Things.
I've never seen that show.
Oh, yeah, I see it. Yep.
Yep.
That's the winner. That is the winner.
Strouf Bobby Brown.
Yeah, I don't see that. Hair is similar, though.
Yeah,
I'll give you that.
hair-wise.
Hair-wise, I see what you're saying.
Like same hairline, shape.
Okay. All right, you learned something new every day. We learned something new today. Time now for What We Learned on Mr. Relevant, which, of course, is presented by our friends at Door County Distillery. Locally produced, handcrafted, award-winning spirits made locally in beautiful Door County in Carlsville. If you're heading up to Door County, make sure you stop in, do the tours, do the tastings. Make sure you get the full experience. And we are so close to me being able to tell you about a brand new product that's coming out from Door County Distillery that I am amped about, that I know they are amped about, and you will certainly be amped about as well from Door County Distillery. Not quite. Hunter and I will be up there Friday the 13th, June 13th, for a live edition of Mr. Relevant. If you're in the area, pop out. Come say what's up in Door County. Otherwise, Door County Distillery is right where you need it. Whether you're in Milwaukee, you're in Madison, you're in Stevens Point, you're in Green Bay, wherever you are at, Door County Distillery's got you covered. They're available wherever great liquor is sold, whether it's the gin, the rum, the brandies, including the cherry brandy infused with local Door County cherries, or any of the whiskeys. The 27-time gold medal award-winning single malt whiskey. My personal favorite, the bourbon, and the rye whiskey, all available from Door County Distillery. Visit doorcountydistillery.com. Find a huge list of unique cocktail recipes, as well as the retailer nearest you for whatever product you're looking for. Just click their drop-down box. Click, I'm looking for the bourbon. Type in your zip code. It'll tell you the place closest to you that you can pick that up. That's doorcountydistillery.com. All right, what have we learned? Hunter?
Haven't learned it yet, but will be learning it tonight at 6:15 on the ESPN Madison YouTube channel, as Chris Davis Jr. from Sun Prairie East High School will be making his college commitment announcement on our YouTube channel. For those that don't know, Chris 2 years ago was the number 2 scorer in the entire country for high school basketball. He's led the state the last 2 years in scoring and is 5th all-time in Wisconsin high school history for scoring. One of the best basketball players I've ever seen at the high school level in person, and he's going to be making his college commitment live on our YouTube tonight. So we'll be learning where he's going.
That dude's a baller.
Yeah.
I had him a couple of years ago when he was at Sun Prairie West a few times. That boy can score the basketball.
Congrats to Chris.
He
Wait,
put up.
Do we know what teams are available for him, or is that not public knowledge?
I talked to him on the phone, and I didn't ask him if we could say quite yet. I think we're going to save it for the show. I will say one in the area that is an option, and then the other 2 would be out east as options. I'll at least hint at that.
One in the area.
You got to get him to do the biggest hat pump fake ever.
Are we coaching him up on how to do
awesome.
this?
So I told him, I asked him how he was doing it, and he's not going to go with the hats. The original idea I had, and we just couldn't touch base, is since he isn't committed, he's playing AAU still. So he was doing stuff over the weekend and kind of finalizing a few things with this. I wanted him, because it's also his birthday today, get a cake with the team color and then have it sitting there in front of him covered up, and then he pulls it off and it's the birthday cake with the school colors, and that he's going to do the t-shirt underneath a zip up, and then he'll have the school's t-shirt there. So that's the way that we'll be going with that. But we're going to have his mom in studio with us and some other family members. So it'll be me and the dean. Super excited for it. He's got a really cool story, and just his journey to get to this point has been really cool. So super excited to help Chris celebrate this moment. It's going to be really cool tonight.
Very nice. JJ Bandit says, cool, I'll be in Door County then. I'll stop in at Door County Distillery. Looking forward to seeing you there. Chris Davis Jr. tonight on the ESPN Madison YouTube channel. Make sure you check that out beginning at 6:15. Will, you learn anything?
Yeah, it actually very much relates to what we've talked to today. Scientists may have cured baldness. UCLA scientists found a molecule called PP405 that wakes up sleeping hair follicles and tells them to do your job. In early trials, people rubbed it on their scalps before bed, and 1 week later, actual hair, not fuzz. Thick, terminal strands, the kinds you don't have to squint to see. Apparently, it blocks a protein that keeps the follicles asleep, and it turns out that your scalp never dies. It's just lazy. Wow. So, and I just coined a couple weeks ago. I don't know if you guys have ever seen...
You've coined something?
White Lotus?
I haven't.
No.
One of the characters, his last name's Goggins. He was bringing back the bad hairline, like the pushback hairline. So this kind of defeats my... I was bringing back male pattern baldness. Is that how you say it?
That's exactly how I said
it. It was back, and now it's back out. In just a matter of a couple weeks. Balding's out.
Volatile world in balding, man. Volatile.
You never know where it's going to go.
Very fluid.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I read a story this weekend. Actually, my girlfriend found this and showed it to me. She said, I don't know what to do with this, but I feel like you should read it. I don't even know what state this was in, but there was a traffic stop, and they pulled over a woman who was actually not driving the car.
Oh, I think I know
to
what
find
this
that
is.
there was a raccoon in the driver's seat holding a meth pipe, and the name of the raccoon was Chewy. No, this is not Mark Chimuro's alter ego. There was a raccoon holding a meth pipe in the driver's seat. Now, when they went to the woman in the passenger seat and said, hey, what's going on here? She could provide no documentation that she owned the vehicle, had it insured, had a driver's license, etc. However, she did have a sheet of paper that said, hey, I own this raccoon. She had documentation that she could legally own the raccoon.
I mean, that's the important thing.
So apparently what I've learned is raccoons on drugs can drive vehicles. That will do it for us today. Big thanks to Will for stepping in for Joshy. Big thanks to Hunter, as always, for running the show. What a show. Giannis, strip clubs, raccoons, and drugs. I don't know, man. We had a day today. We're back with you Wednesday beginning at 12:30 Central, ESPN Madison, ESPN Milwaukee on YouTube, and, of course, available wherever you get your podcasts. The all-new, all-free ESPN Wisconsin app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. Just search Mr. Relevant will be the first result that pops up. We'll talk to you Wednesday. Looking forward to it, baby. Peace.